Most people, youngsters, they want relationships. Okay, not everybody is in a happy relationship. And here you have a guy romancing two people love you too. That instantly మరి నేను ఇంకా ఒక్కటే లేక కష్టపడుతుంటే వీడికి ఇద్దరు ఉన్నారు అనేది.
నేను ఉల్టా చూస్తున్నాను, మోటివేషన్ ఇస్తున్నాను రా, ఒకటి లేడు రా, ఇద్దరు ఉన్నారు అక్కడ, వాడికి వెళ్ళి కొంచెం మోటివేట్ అవ్వు అని. I'm just kidding, but no.
Neeraja garu, hi.
Hi.
So glad this is happening. Thanks for the time. So I review films, okay, and one aspect I always struggle with is costumes. I really don't know how to see, reviewing is something I really don't enjoy, but then you have this thing inside you where you want to acknowledge every craft, but you're not like skillful or knowledgeable enough to point out whether it's good or bad. So please tell me, how does one, not just a critic or an audience, how do they appreciate good styling or good costume design?
First of all, I don't think you should be harsh on yourself that you don't know.
Okay, thank
because
you so much.
That's a very normal space lo manandam. That's I think we're all sort of trained and programmed to be in that. It's a craft that doesn't really get talked about much, other than the fact that they looked they word it like hero kottaga unnadu or he was looking good, but what they mean is probably that, and they probably don't get to use that word. I don't think, like any craft that you gauge and you review, costume is one such thing. Is in visually, you know, what you're wearing. If I like it, I say I liked it. There's not much that goes in beyond it. You know, if you're someone who has followed the story and you know that the character really lived his role, chances are that he probably was dressed right for it.
Okay.
So, you know, when you, for an example, like an Arjun in Jersey, right? I know I don't see Nani there. For me, personally, one of my favorite roles. Or a Sham in Sham Singh Roy. You know, you get transformed into their spaces, and you are thinking about them. And you have the elements, the visual 3 elements that come in for any character to stand up. Visual, the DOP camera, your clothes, costumes, and art. Those 3 elements when they sort of amalgamate together is when you know that you are standing for your character. Right. That is how the craft comes together. Right. That's a basic understanding of mana craft gurinchi ante. So if you are trying to judge or anything particularly for a costume,
not judge, but say, let me, what do you call, this will help me describe the film better or appreciate the work better.
So base guddi gurturi for you remember, it will be like ఆ సినిమా చూసినా నాకు ఆ క్యారెక్టర్ చాలా నచ్చాడు అనిపించింది.
క్యారెక్టర్
ఓకే చూడగా అందంగా ఉన్నాడు, బేసిక్. ఇప్పుడు చూడగానే మా వరుణ్ బాగున్నాడు, అదొక వేరే. బట్ టుమారో సినిమా చూసిన తర్వాత, you know, that fellow had something, you know, he really like that Varun. You'll notice yourself talking about a particular character, not the actor.
Right. Oh, right.
And then maybe that's a sign that crafts have come together. Crafts have come together to bring that character out to life. So when you were growing up, when you were in your formative years, or you know, we all have these. We look up to cinema, kada, as style icons. That's one of the biggest influences cinema leaves you, is that you try to dress. Absolutely. Like the stars that you enjoyed. That's the most, what do you call, obvious form of influence. For my generation, I think all of us were in awe when Ram Charan's look dropped from Orange. Because those costumes stood out for all those 14-year-olds to 25-year-olds, that batch. And I remember Jiva in Rangam. Like, I'm talking purely from a guy's. No, I completely judged and assist you right now. In a good way. You are probably that.
I represent a generation. ఈ 95 to 2002 లో పుట్టిన వాళ్ళకి ఈ రెండు సినిమాలు దే ఆర్ లైక్ మ్యాసివ్ ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఎందుకంటే దిస్ కేమ్ ఎట్ ఎ టైం దే వర్ ట్రైయింగ్ టు ఎక్స్ప్లోర్. వాట్ వర్ లైక్ సమ్ సచ్ ఫిల్మ్స్ ఫర్ యూ?
So I know my parents both are very, very like style conscious, clothes conscious. Like they were always very well dressed couple. And so that sort of seeped into dressing their kid up. It was always like me with my matching ribbons and my matching shoes. I was that kid. You know,
matching bangles,
I was
uniformity.
I was fully that kid. But that said, my no, I said that but ala ready chese batch mom. But I know that they have a very good sense of style. I know that, you know, in a room full of clothes or whatever, they'll pick something nice. Movies ko chetapadiki, I know there are so many times my mom has dressed me in those Geetanjali Addala Langa. I am from 80s. So I'm born in 83. So I know I grew up in that. So you're probably a fetus compared to me right now. But you know, I'm like in the dinosaur era.
That's why I want to know what were the influences back in That is the 90s అని.
పెద్ద మారలేదు రామ్, అప్పటికి ఇప్పటికి సిమిలర్ స్పేసెస్. కానీ మన పర్సెప్షన్ అబౌట్ హౌ స్టైల్ ఆర్ థింగ్స్ ఆర్. ఇప్పుడు మై స్టైల్ సెన్స్ ఇస్ అ వెరీ కంఫర్ట్ స్పేస్. ఐ టేక్ కంఫర్ట్, నాట్ అ ట్రెండ్, నాట్ సంబడి వేరింగ్ ఐ వాంట్ టు వేర్ ఇట్ అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ కాదు. ఐ నో దట్ వాళ్ళు వేసుకున్నది నేను పుల్ ఆఫ్ చేయగలుగుతాను అని నాకు తెలిస్తే ఐ విల్ వేర్ ఇట్.
Okay.
No, it's no man's business beyond that for me. So I look at my personal sense of style comes from that space.
Comfort. Okay. So now coming to direction, did it feel like natural progression?
I'm very scared to say that it felt like very natural progression, because I know that I'm someone who was so fearful of even mentioning the word writer. From the days
but you have written poems.
I have. So I'm telling I've written lyrics for songs, I've written, but I know the weight or the gravitas behind a word called a lyricist or a writer, and it comes from a place of huge respect. So నాకు అలా పిలుచుకోవడానికి కూడా ఒక నామోషి అంటారు చూడు, అలా ఉండేది. టు అసలు అదే అనుకున్న దాన్ని ఇట్ వెంట్ ఇన్ టు లైక్ సో ఇఫ్ ఐ narrate, now I can direct, like to being able to convince myself I probably can. And today, now we're like a week away from the release.
Exactly.
It's crazy. So you know that it's a lot of I don't know. Like today, I feel I probably would have done this regardless. Yeah. So maybe that's a way of saying I was very comfortable with it.
So where do you start? What is the starting point?
You have to have your story. I think the story is the content is king antar kada. That idea is, if I didn't have the idea that Varun and Raga and Anjali could have shared this complex little plot point and they could have had a story, I don't think none of this would have happened. So I think it all channels back into the idea of something happening, from the ideation stage to executing it, to being able to get validated along the way and pulling it off.
Do these ideas come from life or other films?
Could be both.
I don't mean other films and negative ga
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. 100%. It should come from other films also, no? That's the whole point of us watching films. I think my thought process is derived from the books I read to the films I watch, the content I consume on my phone, to the conversations I have from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. I think all of that made me who I am. So it sort of like brings in that.
I think Sidhu is a very 3 a.m. guy అనిపిస్తాడు నాకు. I was talking to Ravikant. Krishna and his Leela is a film I really like. And I think when they re-released the film in theaters, I was talking to Ravikant. So for that, I rewatched Krishna and his Leela. And there are so many house party scenes in it.
Yeah.
Okay, there are so many house party scenes. Terrace మీద కూర్చుని where people are talking about relationships, life and all. I asked Ravikant, what is this? Why is this house party thing a very
common element?
Yeah, like even in DJ Till and all you keep seeing. So నాకు ఎందుకో ఆటోమేటిక్ గా సిద్ధు అంటేనే those conversations.
It's a very nice observation. Very nice observation by you, and I would gladly certify that he is a 3 a.m. person.
Yeah.
He is. He totally is. And I think so am I, but my version of a 3 a.m. is very different.
Okay.
So
what's your version of
my version of 3 a.m. is usually I wrap up parties early and I come home and I'm somebody who likes to chill by myself.
Okay.
I like my solo time. I am quite an introvert at heart. But I have my mixed extrovertness coming out when I'm like chilling with a couple of friends. But usually it's me, and I enjoy my solo time watching something or reading something. That is very, very
hard to relate. I at least have like one day per month or so where I'm like, నన్ను ఎవరు డిస్టర్బ్ చేయకండి, నేను ఒక్కడనే సినిమాకి వెళ్తా, ఒక్కడనే రెస్టారెంట్కి వెళ్తా, ఐ విల్ జస్ట్ చిల్.
ఒక్కసారి దానిలోకి వెళ్తే ఆ సోలో మనసులోకి యూ కాంట్ కమ్ అవుట్. నేను ద ఫస్ట్ సోలో ట్రిప్ ఐ టుక్ ఐ వాస్ 17 years old. I have so far traveled 42 countries alone.
Oh wow. Alone.
I solo travel a lot.
Wow, okay.
So I am a huge like me in my world space. So but that said, my world when I little extend it outside is a very, very calculated few. Other than my husband and my son, who are also part of my husband part of my friends group. So it's like 3-4 friends that I count on my fingertips that the calls go to or talk to. Right. So I'm very lucky to be in that little bubble I created for myself.
I love it when films capture this vibe, and Sidhu's films do that.
They do.
They have like Monna. I was talking to Srinidhi, and in the interview she asked me to narrate the story of Krishna and his Leela because okay, this looks like a companion piece and then parallels even unnayani cheppi we were talking.
అది చూడలేదు సినిమా, అది
నాకు తను చూడలేదంట. I had to spoil the ending and all.
మేము ఎప్పుడు అంటుంటాం అది చూడలేదు, ఎందుకు చూడలేదని.
సో I was saying అటువంటి వైబ్ ని సినిమాలో క్యాప్చర్ చేయగలిగితే they become instantly relatable for one.
మనము ఒక పర్సనల్ కాన్వర్సేషన్ ని ఎంత పర్సనల్ గా చూపించగలిగితే రియలిస్టిక్ స్పేస్ లో, ఐ థింక్ దట్ ఈస్ ద బ్యూటీ ఆఫ్ ఇట్. మన ఇద్దరం ఈ రోజు ఇక్కడ కూర్చొని మాట్లాడుతున్నప్పుడు దాన్ని నువ్వు కెమెరాలో ఒక కెమెరా లేనట్టు if you can deal with that conversation, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, is Telusu Kada a relatable film or relatable story?
Extremely relatable. I'll say relatable how? It's their characters, right? We've sort of very experimented with a lot of grey shades of our human complexities. 3 of them are very your everyday people, but you know that you have your everyday issues which make you choose between the right and wrong. I speak a certain way, I do something a certain way, you might like it, you might not like it. And
people are always willing to, they'll judge the fact
they'll judge you regardless, right? They'll judge you regardless. So ala an cheppi note question we have not spoken or my character has not done things that they're not meant to. They have a reason for it. So we've really experimented a little bit on to pushing a edge of a relationship lo nu ela maatadagalta oka person tho or ekkada varaku push cheste adi okay or is acceptable. Alanti things we తీసుకున్నాం, and I really think at some stage, at some point or the other, you will be relating to either of these 3 characters. I'm sure even, you being a guy, I'm sure you will still see qualities that you might reflect within Anjali or a Raga also. I don't think just because, you abbai tha abbai lo kaadu, ammai ala kaadu. I think the characters are so beautifully written and evolved that you will see different characteristics of all of them in it. Okay. You will hate them, you will love them, they'll irritate you, they will, but they'll entertain you eventually. So it's in that space.
Right. So, but one question I had is, does a story like this have wide appeal? Because I'll elaborate. We are in a society where most people, youngsters, they want relationships. Okay, not everybody is in a happy relationship. And here you have a guy romancing 2 people, love you too. Doesn't that instantly bring that gap? Are nenika okkate లేక కష్టపడుతుంటే వీడికి 2 ఉన్నారు అనేది.
నేను ఉల్టా చూస్తున్నాను, మోటివేషన్ ఇస్తున్నాను రా, ఒకళ్ళు లేరు రా, 2 ఉన్నారు అక్కడ, వాడికి వెళ్ళి కొంచెం మోటివేట్ అవ్వు అని. I'm just kidding, but no. I think so my understanding of a wider appeal comes from commercially packaging a film. It is how I package tomorrow. It's a classic formula for me when I see a Yash Raj film or a Karan Johar film. You know how
it's aspirational to an extent. మీరు అన్నట్టే
నేను ఎన్నోమాటంగా చెప్తాను, నాకు అలా I know that I like my guys and girls looking pretty, I like my frames looking pretty, I know what content my content has the gravitas, but I want the frame to look nice. So it is a blend of content with commercial, and that's where I am looking at the element of appealing to a larger audience. Tomorrow I'm not here to make an art film, I want to make my money. So I know that will only come from if I'm selling it to the right market in a right packaging. So I know we've got the brilliant Thaman doing a brilliant packaging for music. We've got Gyana sir delivering an amazing visual. 3 beautiful actors who are equally talented in performing. You've got other like Naveen's giving a killer cut, and so you've got all our technical, Avinash Garu, my costume designer, they're all coming together to deliver something visually appealing, emotionally sustainable, and we're all like sort of like sailing through our space.
Okay. Now, I watched a previous interview of yours. And you said, I'm inspired by Mani Ratnam heavily, but it's very hard to recreate what he does or follow his footsteps, because when you are sitting in front of monitor, when you are in a set, you have like a million things going wrong or a million things to set right. So your focus is really not on is this frame looking like a Mani Ratnam film, is this moment feeling like a Zoe Akhtar film. The priority is getting that shot. But what you said is, I'm heavily inspired by Mani Ratnam in the way I think. How would you define this thinking?
The thinking could be as simple as a silence when 2 people are sitting, right? Mani sir's, I've learned conversations speak louder in silences in a Mani sir's film. He lets the emotion speak. He lets that RR speak. ఆయన చేసిన magic, I don't think moments happen. Manaki, we come from an urgency where if a silence is considered a lag, అరే ఎందుకు అంత స్లో ఉంది, ఆ ల్యాగ్ ఏంది అంటాం. లైక్ ఆ మూమెంట్, ఆ స్పేస్ లో ఒక సినిమా స్పేస్ కి if I want to sustain that little silence a little longer, I know that that is my inner Manisha's want coming through. So I know that when lot of scenes, when their moments are putting together or anything, I know that frame looks like Manisha pedithe ala untundemo, ila untundemo, ala ani అది నా పర్సనల్ స్పేస్ నుంచి వచ్చిన ఒక థాట్ ప్రాసెస్ లో వచ్చిన ఫిల్మ్ ఇది. I know that తెలుసు కదా, it's a very modern take on a love story and how conventionally we have like challenged a few things and have gone about it.
Right.
So in ilanti storytelling appudu, when you you sort of attach a little bit of classic movie making or filmmaking, it's like that old wine packaged in a new bottle.
Yeah. So how do you do that antunna? Ippudu telusu kada undi. Firstly, I was talking to మేమందరం కూడా, why does this look so similar to Krishna and his Leela? దాని గురించి తర్వాత మాట్లాడదాం. But there is a space this film operates in kada, one guy caught between two girls. Okay, that's the basic thing. We haven't seen
correct.
We haven't seen the trailer. That's what ఒక ఫండమెంటల్ లెవెల్ that is what it is looking like. Okay, దాంట్లో మీరు ఎన్ని రకాలుగా దాన్ని మీరు డిఫరెన్షియేట్ చేయగలుగుతారు అనేది, how do you come up with different iterations, or how do you come up with new ways to explore that space?
See, end of the day, all possible permutation combinations we've already seen, been there, done that.
Yeah.
So I think it's just based on how freshly you can probably show something in a little nuance of a conversation or a visual grandeur. నువ్వు ఏం చేస్తావు దాన్ని? ఇప్పుడు మన ఇద్దరం ఇక్కడ కూర్చున్నాం, నువ్వు నేను ఈరోజు కలిసాం, మన కాన్వర్సేషన్ కెన్ టేక్ ప్లేస్ so many multiple ways. You know, we just saw each other, we fell in love with each other at the first sight. Maybe not. Today you and me are meeting as two strangers and we are wanting to discuss our life to death before we part our ways, and then we decide, let's like, shit, maybe was that guy the guy I was supposed to fall in love with. So there are so many takes on that.
Ways it can a point can go and that can diverge.
So ఇప్పుడు ఒక కాన్వర్సేషన్ లో ఒక వరుణ్ అండ్ అంజలి ఇద్దరే కూర్చున్నారు, వాళ్ళిద్దరి మధ్యలో నువ్వు ఎలా చెప్తున్నావు నీ స్టోరీని అంతే. అదే కాఫీ ఎన్నో సినిమాలో తాగుంటారు ఇద్దరు, ఒక అబ్బాయి అమ్మాయి, అదే ఐ లవ్ యూ ఎంతో మంది చెప్పుంటారు, దాన్ని నువ్వు ఎంత ఫ్రెష్ గా చెప్పగలుగుతావు, అదే కన్ఫ్యూజన్ ఉంటుంది, దాన్ని నువ్వు ఎలా చూపించగలుగుతావు, ఆ కన్ఫ్యూజన్ కి నువ్వు ఆ ప్రాబ్లమ్ కి నీ సొల్యూషన్ నువ్వు ఎంత కొత్తగా చెప్పగలుగుతావు, చూపించగలుగుతావు. సో ఐ ఫీల్ we've taken a very similar route, but we've ended up in different spaces at sometimes some certain things might look been there, done that, but there are things, the approach like, oh shit, this also has happened, our spaces look good.
Right. So but isn't that being there, done that a huge risk?
Not really. I feel being called cliche or been there, done that is not a bad thing.
Okay.
I think these are things that you sort of bank on. You know that it's a thing that you'll go back to. I keep eating that same flavor of an ice cream because I like it. So it's not like every time I go to Baskin Robbins I'm choosing different flavors. You are choosing the same flavor again and again. So it's a similar subject. Like, I know I want to tell a story and I know that, X plus Y equals to certain something. It'll inevitably be that. So I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with having some moments that feel very familiar, but yet some spaces or the staging might be a little unfamiliar.
Okay. How did you assemble your direction team?
They assembled me. అది చాలా నాకు మన బ్రహ్మాండంగా డైలాగ్ లో నేను ప్రేమించాల్సి వచ్చింది టైప్ లో no, but so when I came to PMF, వాళ్ళు they had already recommended a few people, so అలా వచ్చారు, and I think they're all meant to be. నాకు I completely believe in the very serendipitous lifestyle of mine, and it's a huge component. All of them are my people who came on board, and I couldn't have done it without any of them. 100%.
Now communication is a major part of filmmaking కదా. మీరు స్టైలిష్ గా ఉన్నప్పుడు మీకు ఫిల్మ్ మేకర్స్ ఓకే ఇది ఈ సీన్ ఇది మూడు ఈ సిచ్యువేషన్ లో ఉన్నారు క్యారెక్టర్స్ అని చెప్పి మీకు ఒకటి కమ్యూనికేట్ చేస్తారు. ఎఫిషియెంట్ గా కమ్యూనికేట్ చేసే వాళ్ళు ఉంటారు, అంత స్ట్రాంగ్ గా కమ్యూనికేషన్ అంత స్ట్రాంగ్ గా లేని వాళ్ళు ఉంటారు. మీరు did you have to develop a new way of or pick up a skill, something, how to precisely communicate? ఇది త్రివిక్రమ్ గారు చెప్తారనమాట ఒక ఇంటర్వ్యూలో. ఏంటంటే ఫిల్మ్ మేకర్స్కి ఎప్పుడు కూడా ఇదొకటి ఉంటుంది, దే ఆర్ మైండ్లో వాళ్ళకి ఒకటి ఉంటుంది, బాబు నీళ్లు తీసుకురా అంటాము, మైండ్లో నీళ్లు తీసుకురా అని చెప్పేటప్పుడు గాజు గ్లాసులో చల్లగా కరెక్ట్గా సరిపోయేంత ఒక 80% ఫిల్ అయిన నీళ్లు తీసుకొస్తాడని మనం అనుకుంటాము, కానీ వాడేమో నార్మల్ స్టీల్ గ్లాస్లో వాముగా ఉండే నీళ్లు సగం తీసుకొస్తాడు. సో డైరెక్టర్స్ టెండ్ టు బి వెరీ ప్రిసైజ్ విత్ దేర్ ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్. బాబు గాజు గ్లాస్ లో చల్లగా 80% అట్లా మంచిగా తీసుకురమ్మా అని అట్లా వీఆర్ ట్యూన్డ్ అని చెప్పి. దిస్ ఇస్ యువర్ ఫస్ట్ టైం వేర్ you are giving instructions kada. So how did you pick up that?
So I think was one of the biggest compliments is all my team or anybody of narrative, they say that I'm very visual. When I say something, వాళ్ళకి visual పడిపోతుంది.
Okay.
So I know that is something I know. స్టోరీ టెల్లింగ్ ఐ లవ్. నాకు కథలు చెప్పడం ఇష్టం. కూర్చొని మాట్లాడుతూనే ఉంటాను ఎప్పుడైనా, అంటే ఏదైనా చెప్తున్నప్పుడు అండ్ ఐ నో హౌ ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్ ఐ గెట్ ఇన్ టు సంథింగ్. సో నేను రాసుకున్నప్పుడు ఒక స్క్రిప్ట్ ఇలా రాయాలి అని తెలియదు నాకు. I'm seeing something in my head is what I was typing and putting on paper. So if you were to like read my script, it's I know how I am like that grey couch and he's probably wearing a black t-shirt and this.
Okay.
And there was a water bottle put right there. He was probably dabbing his face with a kerchief with little glisten of sweat on his forehead.
Okay.
I go into the detail like that.
Okay.
So
you see it.
I see it. I see a visual. I see a visual, and that's how I operate. And I think that's how I've always been. I draw, sketch, paint a lot. I think I'm a very into the creative space. I think that's how my mind works. I don't know any other way.
And how does collaboration with Sidhu work on this one? Because he's notorious for his improvisation, like the level of improvisation.
Oh, he's notorious is a very understatement for him. But I think for me, I think our personalities are so similar in terms of both of us are very clear cut on what we want. It's just that our paths are very different. I operate a very different way. He operates a very different way.
What are these ways?
I'm a very like slow and steady. I'm very like talk, let's think and proceed. That fellow is some 10 steps ahead already. So our pace match avadanik time pattindante kani maaku we both had the same vision. So our friendship or our collaboration reflects very clearly on the film tomorrow. You whatever the idea that I probably had, he brought it out tenfold.
Okay.
So it's nothing but pure support system from him on the back.
So I'm asking this because he's created for dialogues, right?
Yes.
So how does that work? You go with a version and he improvises it, or is it a back and forth?
Back and forth, absolute back and forth. తనకి మనము ఇప్పుడు అనుకున్న కథ రోజు నుంచి తనకి he would have improvised some 10 things and but it's never random things. It's all to do with building on what we already have. So that it's already within the family. అది చాలా ఈజీ ప్రాసెస్ అది మనకి. నేను ఇప్పుడు తనేం పంపించగానే అరే సూపర్ అనుకుంటాము. నేను లైక్ ఓకే కెన్ వి యాడ్ దిస్ అండ్ దెన్ హీస్ లైక్ లెట్స్ యాడ్ దట్, లెట్స్ డూ దిస్. సో ఇట్స్ ఆల్వేస్ బిన్ లైక్ దట్ విత్ హిమ్. అండ్ దేర్ ఆర్ సో మెనీ టైమ్స్ వెన్ తను ఏమైనా చెప్తే గుడ్డిగా చేసేసిన రోజులు ఉన్నాయి. బికాస్ ఐ నో హీస్ బ్యాంగ్ ఆన్ రైట్. దేర్ ఇస్ నో డిస్కషన్ అక్కడ. సో ఐఎమ్ వెరీ అప్రిషియేటివ్ ఆఫ్ దట్ ఫ్యాక్ట్ విత్ హిమ్.
ఓకే. You took an editing class with Srikar Prasad Garu, and he was supposed to
edit this film. Correct.
And then Naveen Nuli joined. Correct. What happened?
So initially మేము అనుకున్నప్పుడు ఇంకా before Sidhu came on board, this was I think I was one person who probably had my technicians before my hero.
Okay. Even before Sidhu came on board, you had the team?
I had PC Garu and Srikar Prasad sir and all of them were on there. So అది వచ్చిన తర్వాత once Sidhu came on board, we had some time before the film started because appadiki till avaledu, Jack was still in pipeline. So in this process of getting to know each other, developing the script further, I know that we caught on to another pulse, and that pulse was that onto a little bit more edgier side. We wanted another space to it. A chinna commercial tone loki velthunam.
Okay. So then and vision maradama, like what exactly would you
story
say?
Was the same. Okay. The narrative was changing a little bit. So I know my character was becoming a little bit more grayer. He was becoming more in your face. So ee part of ivanni vache koddi it was a very creative call on my end that right now Naveen probably had a better cut in terms of he's very much more edgier in his taste wise. Our script ki I felt Srikar sir was correct. E script ki I felt Naveen was.
I'm very curious now, how do you know which editor will be right for this script? Because editing is something that comes later, kada?
It's about how the vision of how these guys cut it. Srikar sir is na minimal knowledge lo నాకు Srikar sir తో ఒక చిన్న అందమైన బ్యూటిఫుల్ మూమెంట్స్, ఒక చిన్న ఎమోషనల్
మణిరత్నం చేస్తాను ఎడిటర్ మీరు అన్న సైలెన్సెస్
నాకు నా మైండ్ లో అది ఉండింది ఫస్ట్, రైట్? But that is not the Telusu Kada now.
Okay.
So,
now I get it.
I know that this Telusu Kada deserves Naveen. I know tomorrow when I write some other story that with those sort of pauses and those, I know I will go for Srikar sir. It's like that. I feel it was one of those choices.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So finally, what would you tell to people who are going to watch this film in theaters on October 17th? What's the expectation that ante kottadanam untunda, like is this
I
a
think
new
andru
story?
cheppe
Like set the expectations
I
right.
know that is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I think I've always been someone who goes into a film and I'm like, ఇది కాదు కదా type matter లో వచ్చిన person. So I think I'm gonna keep it absolutely blatantly honest and realistic in that terms. I know that the hard work and all said and done, it is a very character driven, 3 people having beautiful conversations, intense conversations, keeping it as real as possible with a little cinematic flair. You know, it's all being packaged in beautiful music, in beautiful visuals. You know, it's about, you come there for those 2.5 hours, get engulfed into these 3 characters and their lives, go through their ups and downs and see how it goes. And we've kept it very intentionally a little complex.
Okay.
So I think it will be a very interesting 2.5 hours that you probably spent.
So what do you think are the kind of conversations this film will generate? మీ మైండ్ లో ఒకటి ఉంటుంది కదా.
Definitely it's a conversation starter.
Okay.
That much I can tell you, because these are conversations we love గురించి వచ్చేటప్పటికి మనకి ఒక ప్రీకన్సీవ్ నోషన్ తో వస్తాం కదా, మనం ఇలా ఎందుకు మాట్లాడుతున్నాడు, ఇలా ఎందుకు మాట్లాడుతుంది ఈ అమ్మాయి, అమ్మాయికి ఎందుకు మాట్లాడకూడదు. And you know, and this whole build up that we give about ఇది తప్పు ఒప్పు, అది మేము కొంచెం we want to steer away from it అంతే. We wanted to say this is what it is and this is, he's owning up to his flaws and she's owning up to what she's done, and that's what it is.
And it doesn't share any similarities with Krishna and Leela?
Absolutely not.
Pakka.
200%.
Okay. అదొక్కటే teaser నుండి
200%.
hopefully trailer will set that
See, good.
thing,
మనము ఒక అబ్బాయి ఒక అమ్మాయి, ఇద్దరు అమ్మాయిలు,
ఇద్దరు
హర్ష,
సేమ్ సిద్ధు హర్ష.
అది చూడగానే అది తప్పలేదు పాపం.
I love you too అని కూడా క్యాప్షన్.
వాళ్ళు నేను అందుకనే నేను అంటే వాళ్ళు పాపం ఇది ఏం తెలియదు కదా, ఇంకా అది అంతే. సో ఐమ్ ఓకే విత్ దట్ థాట్ ప్రాసెస్. It will change.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Looking forward to watching the film on
Thank you
October
so
17th.
much.
All the very best for your debut. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.